Alright, so one of the things you guys should have picked up on from this activity is that most of your continents look like they fit together, right? You have this bulge of Brazil, right, in South America, or I guess we have a big bulge from Brazil. So we have this piece of Brazil, and at the same time, then we also have, so you can see where we look at this piece right here, it looks like it would fit snugly right in there, and it's true, it basically does actually fit together. This is something that, as we were getting to explore pieces of the world during the 16 and 1700s, cartographers, that might be something we've not heard before, cartographer is basically somebody who makes maps. So the map makers of the world are basically looking at this and like, hey, we notice that these pieces fit together. We can clearly see that here on the next page. And what you're looking at here is Pangaea itself. And what you guys notice, you see this piece of the East Coast right here. What a lot of you guys probably didn't match up was that the East Coast fits in nicely with that leading edge of the West Coast of Africa. Some of you guys definitely have noticed already that Madagascar easily fits inside this little range right here, that little piece of Africa. And poor little Africa, being kind of a big continent, gets split. And in fact, it's still splitting today. And that's how we get the chain of lakes system that goes down there. They're called the East African Rift Valley. Well, what I want to show you guys here, this little show here is actually going to play this for us. And then you can see how the continents move. Now, one of the things I also want to show you guys here, a couple things we can take out of this. One, again, playing it from the beginning, you can see how they move around. Now, based on this, are they always moving at the same rate? Do all continents move at the same rate? Do they all move in the same direction? So one of the key pieces of plate tectonics is that basically our continents move in different directions and at different rates. Now one of the things that's really important for you to notice here, think about, okay, where are the tallest mountains in the world? Tallest mountain range is what? The Himalayas. And where are the Himalayas? Where? You guys don't know where the Himalayas are? Are you serious?
You expect I should know this.
Yeah, you guys should know this.
Oh my god.
How do you guys in this classroom not know where the Himalayas are?
Oh god.
We never watched the video.
North America, Africa, Cuba.
Guys, that's sad.
South America.
They're right here.
Okay.
It's the boundary between the Indian subcontinent and Asia. Now, the reason why they're some of the tallest mountains in the world, one, is that they're fairly young. They haven't really had a lot of time to erode. But one of the other reasons why they're really tall is I want you to look at the force at which India is hitting Asia. So look at the speed of India as it moves into Asia. Thank you, TJ. So India is actually moving fairly fast as it moves up through the Indian Ocean and then slams into Asia. That's how we actually get these really, really tall mountains there. So as we already said before, we have these cartographers, and basically they realize very quickly that the continents fit together like a big puzzle. And they're only too surprising to actually see this happen. Now, the three names that you see there are the three guys who really kind of took it upon themselves to get this theory out there and get it known to the world. And so we started off with Abraham Ortelius. And Ortelius is a Dutch cartographer. Now I'll make you guys feel like a bit smarter here. Where did the Dutch hail from? Where do they come from? You guys heard that word before? Dutch? As a culture? So where do we find the Dutch culture?
Greenland. Greenland. Oh no.
Yeah, you're really making us feel smart, Mr. Thomas. Norway.
The ignorance is amazing.
Dutch.
Basically, the Dutch come from areas of basically the lowlands of Europe. So basically, the Netherlands and Brussels. Or not Brussels. Sorry, that's the capital. So, and basically, it was actually the Dutch that had the earliest empire. When we think about the great trading empires of Europe, it was actually the Dutch who were one of the first ones there. So, in fact, places like South Africa still has a very heavy Dutch influence in South Africa, as well as the Dutch Indies, the East India Company. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. And that was, again, done or established by the Dutch. And then we go from that, around 1500, we get to the 1800s with Edward Seuss. This is not Dr. Seuss. Totally different Edward Seuss. And then the guy we're going to talk about a lot today is going to be Alfred Wegener. And yes, that's V. Wegener, not Wegener, Wegener. The reason why is because he's German. And in the German language, the W's are pronounced as V's. Exactly. So, basically, Alfred Wegener came up with this idea, and he really went forward with this. And he's like, I'm going to really take what these guys are offering through time, and I'm going to go forward, and let's actually kind of get some data and support this theory of continental drift. And so one thing that he obviously said right off the back is it looks like they fit together. But does that work in the science world? No. All right, so I want you guys to tell me. If you wanted to show that you thought the continents were together at one time, I want you to take 5 minutes, get together in your group, and I want you guys to come up with a list of evidence that you think would make sense. What evidence do you think you would find if the continents had been together? What would you go and search for?